Wow. We Day 2011, are you ready to change the world? That energy, that noise you're hearing all around you, that is the power of we, and this is what We Day is all about.
That energy, it comes from a year's worth of actions, 1.7 million volunteer hours logged, $5.4 million raised for 500 different local, national, and international causes. We Day isn't just a day. We Day is a movement that happens all year long.
And We Day starts today. It starts with celebrities, amazing bands, and people just like you coming together and taking action. All their stories, performances, and positive energy will inspire you to make commitments to make this world a better place all year long.
Now, we know how hard it can be to take action. Free the Children started when I was 12 years old, and I read about the life and the death of a young child slave. I wanted to do something to help, but people said, you're too young, you're one person, you're powerless. Raise your hand if you ever felt that way.
Now, I see a lot of hands, but I also see a lot of young people who have proven that sentiment wrong. Like Danielle, who raised money to help support a health clinic in India.
And AJ, who raised money to build a school with his classroom in Sierra Leone, West Africa.
Way to go, AJ. And of course, Julia, who collected canned goods for Halloween for Hunger.
And Brooke, who collected books for a library in a First Nations community right here in Canada.
If we could, we would point out every single one of you, but whether you're here today or watching at home, you can get involved. You have to go to weday.com and connect with others just like you. Or you can like We Day on Facebook, and every time somebody likes We Day on Facebook, $1 is donated to Free the Children, and that is how easy it is to make a difference. So remember today we are feeling inspired.
Today, we are starting action.
So look to your left and look to your right and see someone who's changing the world.
A commitment, a passion, a belief that a better world is possible. We want to introduce you to someone who's already started his journey to action. Meet Marc Menard.
Hi, my name is Marc Menard. Last year, the year didn't really start out good for me. I found out that my grandmother had cancer. I was extremely sad because I loved her so much. And then in September, I found out that my mom had cancer as well. Then I wanted to make a difference. And that's when Minor Hockey Fights Cancer was founded. This is where young hockey players come out and raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society. Minor Hockey Fights Cancer has raised $200,000 in the first year. Because I was inspired by what happened to my family, I decided to make a difference.
I'm here to surprise Marc's team. I'm here to support him. I'm inspired by his story, and let's go.
Introducing defenseman and captain of your Toronto Maple Leafs, Leon.
Could this be true? Is he actually coming out?
We haven't even skated here this year. You guys are the first guys to skate on him. You guys are pretty lucky.
I felt really surprised when Dion came out because I wasn't expecting it at all.
Give her. Go.
It's really cool having the experience just to practice with him on the ice. Just a bit different because he plays in the NHL. It's just like, what else can I say?
It's pretty special, the amount of money that he's raised and the effort that he puts into it. It's great to do charity work from a young age, and you look at him, he's a great role model for that. I'm going to give you one of my jerseys signed and a team signed stick for your fundraising efforts, and this is for you to come to our hockey school next summer on behalf of the Leafs and me.
I do think my mother and my grandmother are proud of me because I'm trying to find a cure for cancer.
Give it up for Marc Menard.
5 years that We Day's been in Canada. It's 5 years of speakers, activists, school boards, officials, generous partners, all coming together to better our nation, our community, and our world. That is 20,000 people here today, 70,000 attending a total of 5 We Day events across this country, and 350,000 people who are watching this live right now online. And thanks to our friends at Much Music and CTV, millions who will participate. We Day is 5 cities. And of course, something new this year, our National We Day. The first time we're doing this, a second event in Montreal on March 1st, where we're bringing select students and teachers and educators together to have a truly national experience.
And out of these thousands of schools, countless students, you were selected as leaders in your community. And today we've come together to mark the movement of our time, young people reaching across Canada and around the world, setting aside differences, breaking down barriers, coming together to tackle the greatest challenges facing our world today.
And it's action that brought us here today. We Day is a free event, yet you've earned your entry. The cost of a ticket is volunteer hours at a local animal shelter or bacon cookies for a fundraiser. We Day is the commitment that you are all making to one local and one global action. It's the real and lasting impacts you've already made on this earth.
You see, We Day, it's youth. It's knowing that there's no age requirement or height limit to changing this world. It's knowing that young people have been at the forefront of every social justice movement through time. We Day is holding on to the belief that we can be anything and do everything as long as we set our minds to it. We Day is coming together with old friends and with new friends to show that a better world is possible. We Day is the young person who decides to give up birthday gifts in exchange for donations. We Day is the class full of idealists who sing their hearts out, not to raise their own profile, but to raise awareness for a cause. We Day is that commitment, that passion. We Day is the movement of our time.
We Day is educators. It's the teachers, principals, guidance counselors, anybody who brought young people here today, all the school boards and school board officials, thank you. Because We Day is you. We Day are educators who nurture this movement all year round. We Day is educators who know that education is not solely reading, writing, and arithmetic. We Day is learning the value of community, the importance of citizenship, and the meaning of compassion. We Day is a teacher who gives up his or her March break to lead a volunteer service trip, or the principal who puts aside football rivalries to organize a joint fundraiser in her district. We Day is this dedication. We Day is the movement of our time.
We Day is inspiration. We Day is the change makers, the activists, the celebrities you're gonna see here today. We Day is people like President Mary Robinson, people like Rick Hansen, people like Nelly Furtado. We Day is the 1,000+ volunteers who came together to make this day possible. We Day is the generous sponsors who made it possible for everyone to be here free of charge. A huge thank you, especially to this year's We Day co-chairs, to David Eisenstadt, to Jeffrey Latimer, to Bill Thomas. We Day is generosity. We Day is the movement of our time.
We Day is small actions, is knowing that you don't have to be a millionaire or celebrity to have a big impact. Anybody can start making a difference right now.
And a very real and a very heart-wrenching example of that that we see in our world today is the drought affecting East Africa. And so I spent my summer with children in Kenya who are facing hunger today. A part of the world we care deeply about. Many of you have volunteered there from the screams, absolutely. It's a part of the world in need right now. I was in the refugee camp of Dadaab, which is now home to 400,000 Somalis who have fled the famine in their country. And it was there that I met a man named Ibrahim Ali, a farmer in South Somalia. And he explained to me how he took his family when the drought gripped that region and they started to walk. For 21 days, they walked to try to flee the famine. And as he walked, his children grew weaker. And first, he buried his eldest child, and then another child, and then another child, and eventually he buried his wife, all in graves by the side of the road. And he told me that he wanted to lay down next to him. His exact words is he wanted to close his eyes and to join them. But he kept walking because he had one child, an 8-year-old boy. And they arrived to that refugee camp, and he was holding on to his son, so tightly when I met them, he was refusing to let his son go. And it was with these families in mind that we invited you today to do a small action, to bring $10, if you so choose, for drought relief in East Africa. And if you have chosen to do so and you haven't dropped it off yet, at lunch, look for the volunteers with the t-shirts and the bright backpacks. Now, I know some days that doesn't seem like a lot in the face of such suffering, but We Day is about big impacts. $10 provides a month's worth of meals to a child in East Africa, and collectively together, we're providing 20,000 children with a total of 600,000 meals.
But guys, here's the thing. The impacts you're making aren't just during times of crisis. Actually, the images that Craig saw this summer in Dadaab are vastly different than the images of drought that we're seeing in the Free the Children communities, the communities you've been supporting for years. I was there last summer at the opening of a water system, a water ceremony, and I saw people being so excited to have access to this clean, fresh resource. And then a year later, I go back, drought or no drought, I see women standing on the parched turf with their jerry cans, coaxing a hand pump, releasing water, and when I see that, I see your hard work pay off.
And that hard work is called Adopt a Village. Every year, schools across Canada have come together raising money to provide clean water, healthcare, education, and alternative income projects. Long-term, sustainable development, helping people to forever break a cycle of poverty, to lift themselves out of poverty, and you prove that change is possible.
See, We Day is small actions, but with a big impact. It's helping a community get through a crisis, but then helping themselves, give them the tools to help themselves to the next one. For years, we've seen aid flow in and out of disaster zones, only to dry up when long-term development is needed most.
And so We Day is helping today through small but important actions that have a meaningful impact. But We Day is also planning for tomorrow through a long-term compassionate response, sustainable development. Because the greatest gift that we can ever give is to help someone never need charity again. We Day is impact. That is the movement of our time.
We Day is making an impact right here in Toronto. But it's then going every corner of this world, it's going coast to coast. That means the We Day is truly a movement without boundaries. So if you traveled more than 4 hours to be here today, I need to hear you scream. What do you want to think of the ungodly hour you had to get up this morning, but we're so glad you made it. For anyone who couldn't be here in person, don't think we forgot about you, because of course We Day is the 350,000 people watching this on muchmusic.com/We Day. And also the millions who will watch this on Much Music and on CTV.
And finally, We Day's new friends. If this is your first We Day, stand up and make some noise. I see students, I see teachers, I see sponsors way up there. It doesn't matter how old you are, where you're from. When we come together, anything is possible. Please grab a seat.
So this is what I want you to do. I'm sure many people have cell phones here. At some point, take them out. And when you're really inspired, I want you to take a photo and go on Facebook or go on Twitter and make sure you hashtag We Day. Or simply text a friend who's not here and tell them this: We Day is the movement of our time.
Now, the moment that I step off stage, that's the message I'm going to send out via Twitter to my friends. By the way, you can follow all the backstage action, who's arrived, what's happening next, what's coming at We Day, but also all year round. Check out Facebook or Twitter at Craig Kielburger, and go to weday.com. Download the We Day app for your smartphones. Keeping in touch with this movement all year round. I'm going to send out that message, because when I look out at everyone here today, when I see why we're all here, committed, together, passionate to changing the world, that is what inspires me.
And yes, changing the world is often difficult, but remember, every time you get overwhelmed, every time you think, I don't know where to start, remember this: you already have. And remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, we do this work not because it's easy, but because it's necessary.
Today, we are feeling inspired.
Today, we are part of a movement.
Today, we are We Day.
So who's ready to make a difference?
Who's ready to take action?
Who's ready to change the world?
Who is ready for We Day?